Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh, and welcome to another episode of Muslims in America. I'm your host, Mayor Mohamed T Khairullah from Prospect Park, New Jersey. We often ask ourselves, are we integrated enough in our society and communities? Well, here I interview Muslim elected officials and influencers to find out how they got there and what they do. Then you would be the judge whether you're sizing up to them, and you will learn also from them. Next, we are going to speak to a councilman from the second largest city in New Jersey, Councilman Yousef Saleh from Jersey City. Councilman, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh, and welcome. I am honored to have you on the show.
Thank you. The honor's all mine. Appreciate you, Mayor.
You are an inspiration. The fact that you are a councilman in the second largest city in the state of New Jersey. I'm sure it's a lot of work, a lot of wheeling and dealing, a lot of demands, but you are doing it. So congratulations. You do have a re-election. I'm going to say that from the get-go because people need to pay attention and support you. But let me read a little bit of the bio of the councilman, and so you find out a little bit about him. Then we'll go to a few questions. So Councilman Saleh was born and raised in the Heights of Jersey City. His story is a Jersey City story. His parents immigrated here to build a better life for Yousef and his 7 sisters. He attended PS number 28 and McNair Academic High School, where he was a student representative to the Board of Education. So he started early. And later, Rutgers, New Brunswick, and Rutgers Law School. Yousef works in finance as a fraud investigator and anti-money laundering specialist, and volunteer in his time providing pro bono financial counseling service to local small businesses. After the tragic death of former Councilman Michael Yun, Yousef was appointed to the Ward D Council seat. Since then, he's helped supply residents with masks and other PPE equipment to stay safe from COVID-19, and worked to advance major community improvements throughout the Heights. He's running to honor Michael Yun's legacy of tireless advocacy for Ward D while working cooperatively with Mayor Stephen Fulop to move his neighborhood forward. Again, welcome, Councilman.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. It's honestly an honor, and I'm happy that we connected. We've it's a small state, but it's a very busy state, and we're constantly running around. So, what else can you tell us about yourself that I haven't mentioned in the bio?
Basically, that when I got appointed, it was the height of the pandemic, and essentially, I didn't even know if I wanted to do it at that time because no one knew what the virus was, and no one knew what was going on. But leadership, if you want to call yourself a leader, you need to be able to lead in the rough times like this as much as you want to lead in the good times. And throughout my whole life, as you read, I was the president at McNair Academic High School, president at Rutgers New Brunswick High School, president at Rutgers Law School, all for the student government. And I think, if I was going to step up, now would be the time for me to step up.
Awesome. Now, let me ask you something. If I do remember, you ran previously for office, correct?
Yep.
So between the time you ran previously and this time, what do you think were the things that you have done that earned you the trust of your colleagues on the council to appoint you, and now you're running for a full term?
what happened was when I ran in 2017, I actually did want to run for Ward D. And then, you know, after consulting a lot of my friends, and they said, listen, you know, you should probably run citywide. You were president 3 times of the student government, all democratically elected, for all your student governments, high school, undergrad, law school. And they said you should run citywide for Board of Ed, get your feet wet. So when I ran citywide, I was running, you know, with all the council people that you see on the council today. And we sort of built a rapport, and they saw how hard I hustled. I never took anyone for granted. Like, you literally have to make sure, you know, you hustle and fight for every vote, and you give your ideas in the public sphere. And, you know, you hope that people will give you feedback and input and how to improve the community. So I think that helped build my name recognition and also build that rapport with the council, which is why they chose to entrust me, you know, with taking care of my community. So.
Thank you. So my next question is, obviously, people see elected officials in the spotlight. Sometimes it's glamorous, sometimes it's not very glamorous. Can you talk to us about some of the challenges of having to maneuver City Hall and all the interests and the concerns and so on and so forth?
So it's not as glamorous as people think. You're going to get very few thanks. So if you want to do this, you really have to love people, and you have to love, like, when you get that one person that says, you know, thank you, like you made a difference. And that's what I'm looking for. Like, you try and make a difference every day, and you have to keep building that trust with that community, and you have to prove yourself every day with every interaction. You know, what kind of person are you? You know, are you going to show that you're a leader? You know, even when people criticize you, will you go out of your way to help them? Like, these are questions you have to ask. If you are able to do that, if you're able to take criticism and still, you know, want to help the person critiquing you, then this is the job for you. And it's not glamorous. You get phone calls late at night. When I first got appointed, I started getting calls at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. A lot of people were struggling, you know, rent was due, and a lot of businesses were close to shuttering. And people needed help finding testing locations and where to get a test, you know, different places for information. So you had to get up to speed really, really quickly. But that aside, you know, if you love people, if you love to help, and if you love your community, this is a good job, but it's not glamorous. So just be wary of that. If you are in it for fame or fortune, you're not going to get neither, you know. So, and that's the wrong thing to do.
Very good. I saw you pointed at your head at one point. I know we have the same look, so I'm not sure if there's a message there or code, but you know, you got to let things slide, right? Sometimes you can't just
let it slide.
You got to be Teflon tough.
Absolutely.
So when do you think you had the first inklings that you wanted to move from just activism to politics as a way of activism? Because there's got to be a turning point at one point.
I would say, personally, for me, I felt it was after September 11th. You know, I had a lot of questions about myself, you know, my religion, and you see these images and people tell you these things after 9/11, and I was in the 7th grade when that happened. So that's when I really started to question, like, our image in the media, and I really wanted to show that, you know, a Muslim could be the best among us. He could be the one to, you know, help his community. Like, my heart has always been, you know, in the right place with the community. Like, I love the residents. I have never left. This is the only home I've ever known. So to hear all those things after 9/11, I was really, you know, I had a basically an awakening, a political awakening, and I started to pursue it in high school. You know, it was just dealing with little issues, and then eventually, when you deal with the little issues, people entrust you with the bigger ones. So, and same thing happened at Rutgers, New Brunswick. Like, it started off just fighting for a bus stop or fighting to make sure that the bathrooms were clean in our residence hall, and then, you know, that earns you the credibility of your constituents, and which are basically your classmates. And so it's just been, you know, a little combination of luck and honestly, people can sense when you're being genuine, and people can sense when your heart's in the right place and when it's not. So that's something you have to take into account.
Very good. I agree. I agree. And you got to build, you know, one step at a time. So now, you know, your name is Yousef, my name is Mohamed. Was there any challenges? What were some of the challenges you faced during your time of activism, from before politics, during politics?
I think when you look back to my younger years, I faced some challenges, you know, like people, when you go to the supermarket with your mother, like post 9/11, like people would say, you know, really derogatory comments. And then, you know, even after I got appointed, you would have people saying, "What's a Yousef?" You know, like, and those were few people. You know, there were some people that, you know, weren't happy with my selection, which is fine. But I think my story of being born and raised in the Heights and being one of 8, and we're all from the Heights, that, you know, resonates with people, because you want to fight for your own. Like, I am a success story because of my community, and I'm here to give back to my community now, and it's a time of need. And I'm here to give all of myself to the community. And that's, you know, that was where I stood with that. So building that name recognition, building that trust, our names do sound foreign. And I think the more of us that get into the public sphere, the less foreign those names become. Because truly America, like, if you think about it, the mayor that endorsed me, he is Jewish ancestry, and he's the grandson of Holocaust survivors. And I am of Palestinian and Egyptian ancestry, and I'm Muslim. So nowhere else in the world will you find a story like that, you know, and that I got appointed in the height of a pandemic to help the community where I was born and raised in.
Absolutely. So Councilman, I know you're a busy man and we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to head toward the end questions. You're running for your first full term as councilman. How do you see long-term aspirations, dreams, whether personal, community, political, non-political?
Just a correction. This is going to be to finish the unexpired term for Michael Yun. Then next year, God willing, inshallah, if I win this election, then I will run for the 4-year term. So I have a hurdle to cross.
You got 2 elections in 2 years.
That was, yep. That's part of it. It's part of the.
I just want to ask, what is your website so people can go to it?
It's salehforjc.com. Okay. And if you want to check out my social media, it's Yousef J, Saleh. It's Saleh in Arabic, and I say Saleh in English. So
yeah. So this is your social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Yousef J Saleh in English. So people can visit you there. They could subscribe to your pages, contact you.
Absolutely. I'm very responsive through Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, anything. If you send me a carrier pigeon or snow owl or smoke signals, I respond to those too.
All right. So you didn't tell us about your aspirations, future dreams.
I honestly don't know where this road will go, but I am committed to the Heights. I'm committed to the residents of the Heights, and I don't anticipate being councilman forever. I'd never want to do that. I definitely want to make sure that I bring my community to a good place, and then afterwards, you know, pass the torch. So we'll see. But I haven't shied away from, you know, running for higher office if the time called for it, and if my community called for it, and if it was necessary. But right now I'm happy, and I want to make sure that my residents, my neighbors, my friends, and my family, that we're all good right now during this pandemic. And, you know, maybe 4 to 6 years down the line we'll reassess. Maybe I would love to continue. Will I feel that way 6 years from now? I don't know. But right now, you know, because I'm not, you know, I am unmarried yet, and when I have a wife and kids, inshallah, one day, like, we'll have to reassess how that goes. So maybe you could give me pointers how to be a dad in you know, elected office.
You know, that was my next question. I was going to ask you, how's your family life affect this? But I guess you're still a single man, so I know it gives you a lot more freedom.
Absolutely.
So right now, I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask me a question if you wish, and then we'll start wrapping up.
What are some nuggets of wisdom that you could impart on me, you know, that you wish someone told you when you were, you know, first term mayor, like when you first began your political journey?
Oh, wow. So I think, obviously, I think for the longest time, I probably misunderstood the political system, not politics. So I wish I had a guide to basically tell me how to do things to be more effective, because I was obviously effective in my community, but you know, interacting, you know, I just operated. I wanted what's best for Prospect Park, but I've always, you know, kept my outside communications to a very limited amount. But then when the Syrian uprising started and I started traveling to help out and help refugees, I realized the importance of making as many contacts as possible, because that's politics is a network game in terms of particularly if you want to get resources for your community. You have to know as many people as possible, because then you can bring back the goods home.
Yeah, we just want to be effective leaders, you know, and you're right that expanding your network is probably the most important thing that a, you know, young elected can do to be effective.
Absolutely. So, Councilman, I want to thank you very much. And
it was a pleasure. The pleasure was all mine, and you're an inspiration. You know, your story's inspiration. I hope that someone can interview you, and then you could tell everyone about your.
Well, that's why I leave a window at the end for my guest to ask me a question. You know, but you know, I want to thank you, and I want to thank our audience. I hope our audience were inspired tonight. Were you inspired tonight? Do you have a question for me or for the councilman? You know how to reach him now. And you could also reach me. I'm going to put my social media handle for Facebook, for Instagram, for Twitter. You could reach me at McNair Khairullah. And if you have any questions, you know, obviously this is recorded. It's not live, so you could contact us afterward. But you could also leave comments in the space below, whether this is posted on YouTube or Facebook. You could leave comments in the space below. And also, if you have a suggestion for any guest, because I'm starting recording the first few episodes with folks from New Jersey, but I know there's elected officials and influencers all over the United States. So we're looking for you, and we would love to interview you. But we're proud of Jersey, obviously. We have over 30 Muslim elected officials in the state of New Jersey. Such a small state, such a large number. So we're very proud. And ladies and gentlemen, if you like this show, please make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the like button. If you're watching this on Facebook, also please like my page, and so you can see the rest of the episodes. Until next time, be safe, be blessed, and be active.